What is the perfect Survivor season? While many may define this in their own way, I want to take the time today to build what I imagine as the perfect Survivor season for an all newbie cast from a production standpoint. I will have some help from a fellow YouTuber as we dive deep into this topic and go from beginning to end of building the perfect Survivor season. In this case, we're calling it Survivor Atlantis. Thank you for supporting this channel. Subscribing, liking, commenting, and sharing are crucial to this channel's growth and making all of it possible. If you want to do more to help keep the ship afloat, then consider supporting this channel on Patreon. You get all videos weeks before they ever see the light of day here on YouTube, and you get to vote for which survivors I tell the stories of, and even get an exclusive Patreon-only video each month. Thank you for your support. So first, let's start off by introducing my partner in Survivor production crime, Analytical Strategy.
What's up guys, this is Analytical Strategy, a fellow Survivor content creator on YouTube. If you are yet to see my channel, it features a range of fun Survivor discussions, trying to put an emphasis into the strategic component of the game. As I've broken down the game of Survivor into great detail, I'm really pumped and excited to be a part of designing the perfect Survivor season. So a huge thank you to Once Upon an Island for having me in this video, and please head over to Analytical Strategy if you haven't already.
For this exercise, we will be mostly sticking with the rules of what Survivor has been doing so far in the show, but branching out in ways that seems realistic and ways that the show might actually do. This isn't a fantasy season with every episode being 2 hours, so bear with us as we attempt this feat. Anyways, we are both excited to build this perfect season, and what does every season start with? A great cast. Since this is a newbie season, it is far too easy to say things like, I want interesting characters who will want to play the game. However, as the casting director, we are not recruiting anyone. Everyone will be someone who actually applied for the show, with the sole exception of someone who was once a professional athlete. I imagine that Survivor production probably doesn't get a lot of people who used to play sports applying to the show, so that is the one exception I'll make to recruiting. Otherwise, everyone is someone who actually applied to be on. We are picking 18 people to play, 9 men, 9 women. 50% of the cast will be non-Caucasian, aka not white. Ideally, they will come from every part of the United States and even a few people from Canada. Avoiding multiple people from the same places like we have seen in seasons past is crucial. They will be split up into 3 tribes, 3 men and 3 women on each tribe. Now to pick the location. I'm thinking Fiji. I kid. Since Atlantis is not a real place, it truly gives us the freedom to pick somewhere new, and since this is a perfect season and money is no object to us, we will be going to Greece. Plato, who invented Atlantis, was a Grecian philosopher, and Greece has a lot of beachfront property. However, please forgive me as I do not have any actual footage of this place, and I don't have an actual production crew, so we'll just be using random beach footage instead to try to convey the beauty of a place that I really don't have any footage of. We have our location, we have our cast, we have our theme of Atlantis, so let's pick what our tribes are called and their buff colors. For this season, we will be working with Greek mythology, and the first tribe will have a blue buff and be called the Poseidon tribe. The second tribe will be yellow and be called Zeus, and the third tribe will be green and be called Athena. It is now time for episode 1 and the marooning. For this, we will start on a ship. Like in most seasons, Jeff will give his whole spiel on the theme of the season. He'll split up the tribes and then tell them that they can grab anything on the boat, but the first tribe to land on shore gets the clue to a hidden immunity idol back at their camp, which means we need to now talk about how idols factor into this season. Sometimes simpler is better, and in this case, there will be 4 idols in total for the season. 1 at each of the pre-merge camps and 1 at the merge camp. In case an idol is not found pre-merge, then it will be hidden at the merge camp. Idols can only last until final 6, and they are not re-hidden at all. So there can only be a max of 4 idol plays all season. We will be doing what a lot of the good premieres do and have this episode be an hour and a half. There won't be a reward challenge, but there is an immunity challenge where only 1 tribe can win. The remaining 2 tribes who lose have to vote someone out. The immunity challenge is Quest for Fire, as seen in quite a few old school seasons, but most recently in Survivor Cambodia, which is the variant we will be using here. The winning tribe gets flint and the losing tribe gets fire from tribal. For this season, I want to move away from the same old challenges we see time and time again that essentially all just boil down to a puzzle at the end. Anyways, since 2 tribes are going to tribal back to back, we end the episode with 16 players. Moving into episode 2, there is no reward challenge as we get to spend most of the hour-long episode watching the 3 tribes at camp. There might be people looking for the idol, funny moments, strategy talk, all that good camp stuff. The immunity challenge is a classic as we reintroduce the gross food challenge, which is more properly known as bugging out, but everyone calls it the gross food challenge. This was last seen on Survivor Ghost Island, but that was for individual immunity, while this is for tribal immunity. The first 2 tribes to 5 points wins. You get a point by being the first person to down whatever the gross food is. The winning tribe gets fishing gear and a tarp, classic Survivor Episode 2 reward, while the second place tribe just gets fishing gear. After this episode, we are down to 15 players. Episode 3 starts us off with the first reward challenge of the season, which Analytical Strategy will talk about.
The reward challenge in episode 3 is called Matchmaker, and has been previously seen in Survivor the Amazon and Survivor All-Stars. All contestants in each of the 3 tribes are given a box with 5 items within it. Based on the randomly drawn positions of the castaways, each contestant will take turns asking someone on any tribe, including their own, for an item in their box, and if they get a match, they will score a point for their tribe. Once their box is empty, they are out of the game. The reward the tribes are competing for are comfort, inclusive of pillows, blankets, and hammocks, versus cleanliness, which will include shampoo, soap, toothbrushes, and toilet paper. The winning tribe will get the first choice of these 2 rewards, second will get whatever is left over, and third will leave with nothing. This is a fantastic pre-merge challenge, as it gives tribes the opportunity to interact with one another and really have a lot of fun and banter. It can give you an insight into the other players in the game you do not get to interact with on a daily basis, and maybe just might be the start of forming a bond to reconnect on later in the game. It has been far too long since this challenge has appeared on Survivor, and is a must-have within Survivor Atlantis.
After that, the immunity challenge is Idle Hands, which has not been seen since Cagayan. This is a fun one that shows strategic play, but in a different context, as the risk of tossing your own idol up in the air to knock someone else's down doesn't always work. After this episode, we're down to 14 players remaining. Episode 4 begins, and Jeff tells everyone,
"Everybody drop your buffs." We're switching things up.
For the immunity challenge, the 2 tribes will be doing Hot Pursuit, that challenge where the tribes try and chase each other down, which hasn't been seen since Survivor Caramoan. It requires teamwork and a drive to want to win. Pretty much anyone should be able to carry 20 pounds at least. After this episode, we are down to 13 players remaining. Episode 5 is a standard Survivor episode. The reward challenge is called Depth Charge, which is a unique challenge where the tribes have to work together to drop cannonballs onto targets to raise buoys to get puzzle pieces. Now this hasn't happened since Cook Islands, and the tribe that wins gets a sponsored reward from someone like Applebee's, which is guaranteed to give us some golden confessionals for people to meme later.
It was unbelievable. So it was one of the greatest moments and something I will never forget for the rest of my life.
Analytical Strategy is going to break down what immunity challenge the tribes will be doing.
Within Survivor Atlantis, water-themed challenges are a must. So the episode 5 immunity challenge will be Cell Block C, and this challenge has had some variations over multiple seasons of the show. In Survivor Atlantis, contestants must race out into the water to a huge bamboo cage and receive an extremely heavy chest to bring back to shore. Within this chest will contain numbered tiles to solve a combination lock to release some rings. These rings will be used by one tribe member to throw and target at ores that when raised will spell immunity. This challenge is a great fit for Survivor Atlantis, as it really tests the physical capabilities of each of the castaways, but also relies on a finisher to come in clutch to get the job done. It gives the contestants an opportunity to come from behind to have the chance to win immunity, and has resulted in great showdowns, such as Malcolm vs JT in Survivor Game Changers. So whilst it may be an exhausting challenge for the contestants, it is epic for the viewers.
Alright, we are now down to 12 players remaining. Episode 6 is another normal episode, the calm before the storm, if you will. And analytical strategy is going to fill us in on the reward challenge.
The episode 6 reward is another water-based challenge, and it is an iconic Survivor challenge titled Dive Masters. This challenge has had variations used on 8 different seasons, initially commencing in Survivor Vanuatu. Each contestant must dive from a platform to receive 6 buoys attached to an underwater rope, and each buoy progressively gets lower and lower, and therefore closer to the city of Atlantis. Each tribe member must attempt to collect a buoy at least once prior to contestants going twice. Once each of the buoys are received, 2 of the castaways must take turns shooting these buoys into 3 floating targets, whilst 2 other contestants collect the missed shots to return to the shooters. The first tribe to hit all 6 buoys wins reward. The reward will be the first big food reward of the season, a huge picnic at a remote destination in the Greek islands.
The immunity challenge is another classic we have not seen since South Pacific, and that is shoulder the load. Once again, it's a challenge about your willingness to win combined with strength. We have seen both women and men do well at this challenge, and it should make for a good final pre-merge challenge, and this episode ends with 11 players.
Everybody drop your buffs. You are merged.
This episode is an hour and a half. There is of course a merge feast. The merge buffs are black. There is of course no reward challenge. The final hidden immunity idol has entered the game and exists somewhere on the merge beach, and there is a clue given to everyone inside of their new buffs. That is the first in a series of clues to the new hidden immunity idol. This one will not be found without any clues. And this should be interesting since everyone has the first starting clue hidden in their buff. So some people might try to keep it a secret, but undoubtedly everyone will figure out that we all have the same first clue. The immunity challenge is Vertigo, which has contestants on a perch using buckets to fill up a cylinder with water to get a key before ending with them building a ladder. It's the same variant used in Survivor Micronesia, and it's a pretty fair and balanced challenge for everyone. However, the first man and first woman to win get immunity, and after this episode, we are down to 10 players remaining. Episode 8 has a reward challenge, and this one might be a little controversial, but it's called Schmergen Brawl. Now, unlike in Samoa and Heroes vs. Villains, this time no one is allowed to hit anyone else. That means they can't ram them to other walls, they can't suplex them into the ground, stuff like that. They can only hit or rip the ball away from someone else's hands. This is still a risky challenge for injuries, but that's why it's being used for reward, and I believe that getting rid of the ability to hit other people nilly-willy like they were allowed to previously should remove any injuries. The winning team gets to enjoy a movie and popcorn. In this case, the new Aquaman sequel, leagues better than Jack and Jill.
Jack and Jill, loved it. I love Adam Sandler. Personally, I'm a fan.
For the immunity challenge, analytical strategy has us covered.
The final 10 immunity challenge is such an important challenge of each Survivor season, and really is one that comes down to who wants it the most. For that reason, we'll be doing an endurance challenge called Uncomfortably Numb, where each contestant stands on a very small perch whilst holding a handle above their head for as long as they can. The one who wants it the most really comes into play in this challenge, with contestants on Survivor Atlantis each given a stone prior to the challenge taking place, and they can choose to either participate in the challenge or sit out and feast on local Greek foods and drinks. This challenge has been iconic in Survivor history, with great battles between Natalie and Reed in Survivor San Juan del Sur, Sydney and Ty and Korong, and of course the 5.5-hour comedy gold battle between Christian and Alec. As the founders of Atlantis were half god and half human, we will see if this translates to the contestants in this show, and whether they can put these superhuman powers to the test to outlast the rest of the castaways.
We are now down to 9 players remaining. Episode 9 is a normal episode, and once again, I'll let analytical strategy tell you about the reward challenge.
The next reward challenge is the most famous in Survivor history. It is the one the contestants want the most. It is of course the Survivor family visit. In this season, it comes with a little bit of a twist, in the form of a note to be read out at the end of the challenge by the winner. The first component of this challenge is titled Know Your Loved One, not appearing on Survivor since the infamous Johnny Fairplay dead grandmother lie in Survivor Pearl Island. In this challenge, contestants and their loved ones must answer the same series of questions about each other, looking to obtain the same answer to get the upper hand in the challenge. In Survivor Atlantis, this advantage will be in the form of a coloured ball, as per the challenge Bombs Away in Survivor Gabon. Depending on how many questions each pair got right, the castaway would then get the chance to shoot each ball down a hill into divided circular zones, and the closest to the centre would win the challenge in the form of love. Now let's get to this note the winner receives. It gives them 3 options. Firstly, they can select no other players to join them on the reward, and just them and their loved one will have a huge feast together. Or they can choose 2 others to join them with their loved ones and have a meal with no clue. Or they can choose 4 others, but they get no food or clue, just time with their loved one. Do you be selfish? Take the feast and the advantage, but risk leaving others back at camp? Or do you invite 4 others along to give them the love they've been missing so much and have the numbers on your side, but miss out on the chance at an advantage in the game? The loved one visit now becomes more complicated to the winner than it ever did before, and it is now even a bigger defining moment in the game.
The immunity challenge is challenge pitch, which is last seen in Millennials vs Gen X. The throwing bags is the physical portion, while having to rebuild the thing you just destroyed is the puzzle. Now, I did say I tend to want to shy away from puzzles, but this one is unique enough that we have only seen it twice before, and this episode ends with 8 players remaining. Episode 10 brings back a fan favorite. That's right, it's the Survivor auction, which we have not seen since Worlds Apart. This time, Jeff says from the beginning of the auction that there is no clue or advantage or idol that can be bought at the auction. However, there is a clue to the idol, if it hasn't been found so far, that is randomly put with one of the items that you don't know about until you've already bought the item. This should solve the problem of people holding onto their money to buy an advantage at the end because they don't know where the advantage is, it's just randomly in one of the items. Plus, fun things always happen at the auction.
I can have them all myself if I want.
For the tribe,
Okay.
Randy. Randy offers Sugar his own cookie. She takes it and gives it to Maddie.
Yeah. Would you like to repeat that?
For the immunity challenge, I will let Analytical Strategy explain it.
The episode 10 immunity challenge is one that requires extreme mental patience. So whilst the game of Survivor can play tricks on your brain, so can this challenge. This challenge is known as Station by Station, where each castaway is required to race out to a series of stations that have a certain number of objects at each of them. Each number of objects represents a number on a combination lock, with the first castaway to count each station correctly, and using them to open the combination lock will cement their spot in the final 7 of this season. After days of this game taking not only a physical toll on your body but also a toll on you mentally, this challenge may seem easy, but it is far more difficult than you think, as you do not know which station is incorrect when putting numbers into your combination lock. It took Spencer Bledsoe, a world chess champion, almost half an hour to get the win in this challenge in Survivor Cagayan, and it came at a crucial time in the game, so no doubt this will be just as an important challenge within Survivor Atlantis.
We are now down to 7 players remaining, and episode 11 kicks off with the reward challenge that once again, Analytical Strategy will tell you about.
Our next reward challenge for the final 7 results in a huge reboost for the final days in this game. A huge overnight reward on a yacht, sailing the seas of Greece, getting a good night's sleep in a bed, you get dinner and breakfast, and you get the chance to learn about Greek culture and the story about the city of Atlantis. Each contestant will get a taste of this story in our reward challenge, originally titled Witch Hunt, or more recently known as Folklore. Within this reward challenge, Jeff will begin telling the castaways a story of Atlantis, where each remaining contestant will have to pay close attention, as they'll have to run to stations to answer questions about this story. The contestant who is first to answer all the questions correctly and obtain the item from each of the stations will win this huge game-changing reward at a very crucial time of the season. Due to this being the first season to be filmed in a location other than Fiji since Survivor Co. Wrong, it is the perfect time to bring this back into the game of Survivor Atlantis, to give the contestants a taste of the story of Atlantis, and to get great cultural experience from the Greek islands they have been lucky enough to stay on since stepping foot into the game.
For the immunity challenge, we are using a challenge that originated in Borneo, but has been reused as recently as Cagayan. Mud pack. Every player has to cover themselves with mud, and whoever has the heaviest bucket of mud wins. This is usually used for reward challenges, but it's a fun challenge that anyone can win and doesn't favor anyone being stronger or someone being better at puzzles. After this episode, we are down to 6 players remaining. Episode 12 is the last time we have a reward challenge, and we are going way back once again for a challenge called Blue Plate Special. Last seen in Pearl Islands. The winner gets to go on a nice yacht and have a barbecue along with 2 other people that they have to pick to bring along with them.
Sandra connects.
And I hit myself in the mouth too. I'm gonna come out of here with a busted lip.
It's her first target.
I want pancakes.
For the immunity challenge, analytical strategy will fill us in on that.
The final 6 has resulted in some game-defining moments in Survivor history. We're talking about tied votes, rock draws, and really crucial decisions which set the tone for the final 3 of the season. This is without question the most important challenge of Survivor Atlantis to date, and given it may be the last opportunity the contestants have to navigate and change up the numbers, it is time for them to navigate through a massive maze. Variations of this challenge have featured in a whopping 11 seasons of Survivor, and this will replicate the only vertical variation of this challenge, occurring in Survivor Vanuatu, known as Snakes and Ladders. Each contestant will have to run and climb through a large vertical maze to receive bags of puzzle pieces, and once they are all collected, they would have to complete a puzzle of the Survivor Atlantis logo. The maze was set up as a vertical maze in this season to represent both aspects of Atlantis, with the top half of the maze having the theme of the city on land prior to it going underwater, with the bottom half displaying the lost city once it became submerged. The winner will be the contestant who can navigate through both worlds of Atlantis the best, and the first to solve the logo they have been looking at all season will be the one who guarantees themselves a spot in the final 5.
This episode is the last time idols work, and we are now down to 5 players remaining. Episode 13 is the finale. We have 5 players left, 2 immunity challenges, and no more idols. This is a 3-hour episode with no reunion that's actually on television, so it's a proper 3 hours. Instead, the reunion is going to happen on CBS All Access, whether it's pre-recorded or live, doesn't really matter. And it will be up on there as soon as the episode is done. And it will be an hour long with no commercials. However, the winner's vote reveal still happens on television at the end of the 3-hour episode, so we're not missing out on that. You have to earn your way to the final 3 by hook or by crook. For the first immunity challenge, we're doing a variant of vertically challenged. Unlike the last time we saw it in Caramoan, it will not end with a puzzle. Instead, what people are collecting on the vertically challenged challenge are fire making materials, coconut husks, flint, wood, etc. The first person to collect all of their materials, build a fire high enough to break this string, wins immunity, which brings us down to 4 players remaining. For the final immunity challenge, we are bringing back a classic, hands on a hard idol. How bad do you want this? To allot enough time in case this goes insanely long, this challenge takes place on day 37 in the morning, with tribal happening on day 38. We are changing up the challenge a little bit though from what was seen in the past, and for inspiration we are looking to Australian Survivor as they do this challenge right. They do it next to the ocean, so it is not a matter of just simply standing there, but you have to endure the waves of the ocean as well. Also, each perch that the players are standing on are proportioned to who is standing on them. So for bigger feet, they are bigger, for smaller feet, they're smaller, they're proportioned the same. Whoever wins this wins final immunity. There is no final 4 fire making challenge, as that was moved into a previous immunity challenge. So after all of this, we are now down to our final 3. For final tribal, we are sticking to the format that has been happening since Game Changers, but this time we actually get to hear from each jury member a thought that they have or a question they have. And for the first time ever, the uncut full final tribal will be on CBS All Access, with the caveat that of course something can still be cut out if need be, but it's pretty much the entire final tribal on there, because what you see on TV is of course not the whole thing. We then of course get our winner of Survivor Atlantis. So that's it. That is the perfect Survivor newbie season from a production standpoint. Of course, opinions will vary on many things, including challenges, advantages, and whatnot, but this is the way I would personally prefer making a perfect season. I like to keep things a bit simple, but not completely negate the changes the show has made over the years by just reverting back to what they used to do. I do believe a full 3-hour finale is best, and the hardcore fan base will love having the nearly uncut final tribal to dissect on All Access after the season is done. Once again, thanks to Analytical Strategy for helping out with this video, and if you haven't subscribed to his channel, then I recommend doing so.
Firstly, a huge thank you to Once Upon an Island for inviting me to contribute to this amazing concept of creating the perfect Survivor season. A lot of the concepts I aim to create at Analytical Strategy both focus on improving the way Survivor is played from a strategic and production standpoint, but also to bring my audience content that they wish to see, so this was a heap of fun to be a part of. In addition to these fun discussions, I also do the odd video on Survivor trivia, fantasy seasons, and much more. So if there are any topics you would like to see discussed, please head over to Analytical Strategy, join our community by subscribing, and leave a comment of a particular topic you would like to see. And if it stands out to me, there is a very high chance I will turn it into a video and in-depth discussion. I really hope you all enjoyed the idea of Survivor Atlantis, and I look forward to collaborating with Once Upon an Island and other Survivor YouTube channels again in the future. This is all from Analytical Strategy for today, and I hope to see you over at my channel soon. Bye for now.
So what do you think? What changes would you make? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and if you like the content you see here, then please consider supporting me and this channel on Patreon. Your financial support makes all of this possible, so thank you. And thank you for watching.